Hi, I'm Pranav. I'm a part of SAS Energy. I'm here to talk to you more about how you can harness solar energy for your on-site, on-site solar energy for your uh, site, and I'll talk about some myths which are there in the market and how you can take a project from conception to market readiness. So, who we are, SAS Energy is one of the leading EPC solar providers in the country today. We are a part of the EDF group, and we are offering everything on site, be it a rooftop solar plant over a car park, which is a carport, or on the land nearby. So we offer bespoke solutions to our clients in this area. As I mentioned, we are part of EDF. So EDF basically provides you a gambit of services in the energy sector, from your energy supply to helping you set your net zero strategy to actually physically going and installing the solar power plants on your site, as well as electric vehicle chargers. Now, what is on-site solar really? Now, the way I look at it is you've got assets on your sites, like a roof or a car park or some land which is lying idle. It's not generating any revenue for you. So why not use this piece of your asset, help install a solar plant, and lead it to reduce your energy costs, and which adds to your bottom line in the longer term. So it's not that you are going away from the grid, it's you're adding a local generation source on your site, which is basically providing you energy right there, and anything extra is taken from the grid. Now, it's the most effective utilization of space possible, and it's, to be honest, it's the lowest hanging fruit in your journey to net zero. It doesn't interrupt with your work. It helps in reducing scope 2 emissions, and it provides the generation can match the operating hours for CNI, for commercial and industrial clients. Sorry. What are the benefits? There are huge financial benefits. So once you install a local energy source, you are not undergoing any non-energy commodity charge. The energy is provided to you from that source directly. So there is energy savings which you will encounter over there. You are able to budget this for the long term, for the next 20 years. You know what price you're getting the energy at, and it doesn't. You don't need to be bothered about the fluctuations in the wholesale market. And then you've got the sustainability benefits, which is you're adding green credentials to your property. You are this is basically going to be REGOs for you, which are supplied from your local source. You can trace it back. The REGOs being the renewable energy generation guarantee of origin. So you can trace it back that every megawatt of energy that is being provided to you from that solar plant is corresponding to one REGO. Now, what are the deployment options out there? There are two deployment options which are most prevalent. One is the self-funded or the CAPEX option, and the second is the PPA or the power purchase agreement option. Now, you can, as a client, you can say that, you know what, I have the funds, I will install on my site, and I will take care of the project risk, and I will manage the plant myself for the next 20 years, or I will employ a O&M contractor to manage the plant for the next 20 years, which is fine, and you get the energy free of cost to you for the next 20 years. You know you've already paid for the plant. The energy is being forecasted, which is forecasted to be generated from that plant, is provided to you free of cost from that plant. Or you can say that, you know what, I have the capital, but I don't want to spend it because it's not my business to run a solar plant. I know what I'm good at, so let me spend my capital on my business. Let me get a PPA provider and who will come install the plant for you at the site, and will manage it for the entire 20 years, and will sign a PPA tariff with you, which is generally going to be less than what is available from the grid, because the grid tariff includes your energy commodity cost plus your non-commodity costs. This tariff will not include your commodity costs. It's just the solar energy which is provided there and then will be provided to you. Then it's the PPA partner who actually takes the risk on the project, and it is their incentive that the plant actually performs. If the plant does not really perform, they do not make the return on their money on that. There are a few myths out there which we've experienced a lot with our customers, and I just wanted to clear a few of them out so that we can see how you can see how you can take an on-site solar project forward. So we know that we can do a solar plant over a rooftop, a carport, and even on a local nearby ground from which you can connect behind the meter. Now, the roofs do not need to be south-facing. It's a myth that roofs need to be south-facing. Roofs do not need to be south-facing. You can have an east-west roof. Sometimes that gives you a higher capacity, and it gives you power which starts earlier in the day and goes on till late in the evening. So it's more uniform power. On-site solar can actually take care of your energy, maybe not your entire energy needs, but a significant chunk of your energy needs, which is about 10 to 30% depending upon your half-hourly usage as well as the size that you have available on site to install the plant. And these panels actually come with long warranties, performance warranties. They come with warranties of 25 to 27 years, and they still perform after that. And at the end of 25, 27 years, they are still performing at 80 to 85% of their efficiencies. Now, a lot of customers have also told us that, the installation takes time. It leads to interruption of work for us, and these require constant maintenance. But it's not really true. The actual process of installing a solar PV on your site, it varies, and it's the development process which takes more time. The development process is getting the approval from the grid, approval from the local planning authority, which is becoming easier, except for ground-mounted projects. And you can get the actual installation will just take about 3 weeks to 3 months, depending upon the size of the project that you are installing. And there is no real interruption to your work except for a couple of hours, where we are connecting the solar PV to your electricity supply, and it's a 2 to 3 hour job, which can also be done in non-operating hours. Once the plant is installed, it does not really require any maintenance except regular cleaning and proactive checks. You can monitor everything on your app or online, and you can the O&M provider, or in the case of a PPA, the PPA provider actually monitors the plant and ensures that the efficiency of the plant is maintained and the plant is able to give the generation that it was forecasted on day one. There are some financial myths. People feel that on-site solar is very expensive, but that's not true. Solar, with the prices coming down, an on-site solar plant can actually break even within 4 to 6 months. In the case of a PPA, you're not putting any outlay. You have savings from day one itself. Now, there are people who also come and say that, the prices have gone down so much, we'll wait for the prices to go down further, and then we'll install. But then there's an opportunity cost to it. Does that opportunity cost really make sense? With the payback period as less as 4 to 6 months, I don't think it makes sense. You'll be better off installing the plant now than expecting the prices to go down further, which may not. You cannot really time the market. I just wanted to leave this graph with you because it just shows how much time it takes to take a solar plant from a concept stage to actual construction. we don't require anything. The first process that we do is we carry a desktop design in. For that, we just require half-hourly data and your site addresses to do that design. Once that design is done, we are able to present to you what your savings will be and over the years, and what the generation and the capacity that can fit onto the site. Now, once you like that, one goes for a site survey to see if there are any oddities with the maybe the roof or what kind of cable lengths one needs to run, etc. Post that, there's a detailed design stage, which can take about another month, and post that one starts engaging with the DNO and the planning authorities. Now, the DNO takes normally about 3 months to respond to a request, but the planning over here, which shows 3 months, it's to do with the permitted development, which is projects which are or rooftop projects which are about 1 megawatt in size, something that is ground mounted and a bigger size may take a longer time to get the planning application through, because they would require a full planning application, which requires different surveys, some of which can only be done at a particular time in the year. So, but after that is done, after the approvals are received, the construction actually takes about 3 months to get the project off the ground. So yeah, so it's basically 9 months overall, and in the case of some ground-mounted projects, it can take about a year plus to get the project off the ground. So you know that the projects, you know that the project will be off the ground next year, and that you know what the source of your power is almost immediately. I'd just like to leave with a quick conclusion, saying that on-site solar is amongst the lowest hanging fruits that you can deploy in your strategy to net zero. It doesn't really hamper any your ongoing work, and it reduces your scope 2 emissions, apart from the fact that you get financial savings which directly increase your bottom line. And you should not think of yourself as being alone in the game to install on-site solar. You can easily and not try to find ways on what you can do for on-site solar. A desktop study is almost free of cost. You can just reach out to us. We can do a concise initial desktop assessment for you and tell you how much can be installed and what your savings are going to be over the years. That's about it. Any questions I can take up in the session? Thank you.